The dust of Kepler 442b settled around Luis's boots as he stood on the landing platform, clutching a faded photograph in his weathered hands. The image showed Eva Morrison, blonde hair, soft smile, the kind of woman who'd write poetry about Earth's vanished sunsets. She was supposed to arrive on the 3 o'clock transport from New Terra, ready to start a new life on his cattle ranch in the frontier territories. Luis had been alone for 5 years on this godforsaken rock, herding bioengineered cattle that could breathe the thin atmosphere. He'd saved every credit, followed every legal channel, and finally secured a marriage contract through the Colonial Bride program. Eva had seemed perfect in her letters, educated, kind, looking for a quieter life away from the crowded core worlds. The transport's engines roared as it descended, kicking up red dust that stung his eyes. Luis straightened his hat, wiped his palms on his jeans, and tried to remember how to smile. The cargo ramp lowered with a hydraulic hiss. What emerged was not Eva Morrison. The woman who strode down the ramp wore a long leather duster that had seen better decades, combat boots that rang against the metal, and a gun belt carrying 2 plasma revolvers that hummed with illegal modifications. Her hair was cropped short and dark, her face angular and scarred, and her eyes, God. Her eyes were the cold gray of a woman who'd killed before and wouldn't hesitate to do it again. She looked at Luis, then at the photograph he still held, and grinned like a wolf spotting wounded prey. "You must be Luis," she said, her voice rough as gravel. "Name's Eva Blackwood, pleasure." Luis's mouth opened and closed. "You're not the picture?" "Yeah, about that." Eva adjusted the brim of a hat that looked like it had survived a small war. "Let's just say the real Eva Morrison and I had a disagreement about who needed off New Terra more urgently. She's probably filing a complaint with colonial authorities as we speak. Me? I needed a place to disappear for a while, and a marriage contract with a remote rancher seemed like just the ticket. You stole her identity. Borrowed." Eva's hand rested casually on one of her revolvers. "And before you get any ideas about turning me in, you should know that the Valaxian Syndicate has a bounty on my head, as do 3 separate human governments and at least 1 hive mind that I really pissed off. Anyone who knows I'm here tends to have a short life expectancy." Luis felt his dreams of domestic tranquility evaporating like water on hot stone. "I should call the marshals." "You could do that." Eva looked around at the endless expanse of red plains, the distant mountains, the isolation that stretched to every horizon. "Or you could hear me out. See, I'm actually great with cattle. Spent 2 years on a ranch before I became an outlaw. I can shoot, I can ride, and I can protect this place from any rustlers, raiders, or corporate claim jumpers better than any 6 hired guns. I wanted a wife, not a bodyguard. Life's full of disappointments." Eva walked past him toward the ranch house in the distance, her duster billowing behind her. "But I'm betting you need help around here more than you need someone to bake you cookies and pretend this planet isn't a hellhole." She wasn't wrong. Luis ran 5,000 head of cattle across 200 square miles with only himself and 3 maintenance drones. Rustlers had hit him twice last year. The megacorporation that owned the neighboring territory kept trying to squeeze him out. And just last month, a pack of indigenous predators had taken down 40 head before he could mount a defense. Against his better judgment, Luis followed her. Over the following weeks, Luis discovered that Eva Blackwood was exactly what she'd claimed to be, and worse. She could outshoot anyone he'd ever met, her draw so fast it seemed to bend physics. She knew cattle better than he did, spotting illness and predators before his sensors could. She told stories around the campfire that involved smuggling operations, prison breaks, and an incident on Proxima Station that had apparently started a minor war. She was also absolutely terrifying. When the rustlers came, a gang of 20 armed men with military-grade equipment, Eva met them alone at the border fence. Luis watched through binoculars as she walked out into the open, hands hovering over her revolvers. He couldn't hear what she said, but he saw the result. Plasma bolts lit up the dusk. Eva moved like liquid mercury, her guns singing their lethal song. When the smoke cleared, 15 rustlers were dead and the survivors were running for their lives. She came back to the ranch house with a new scar on her cheek and didn't say a word about it. "Why?" Luis asked her one night as they sat on the porch, watching Kepler 442b's 3 moons rise. "Why really come here? You could have gone anywhere." Eva was quiet for a long time, When she finally spoke, her voice was different, softer, more human. Because I'm tired, Luis. Tired of running, tired of killing, tired of looking over my shoulder. I thought, maybe out here in the middle of nowhere with someone who doesn't know what I've done, maybe I could just be Eva for a while. Not Blackwood the Butcher or the ghost of Proxima. Just Eva. Luis looked at this woman, this outlaw, this gunslinger, this accidental wife, and saw something he'd missed before. Beneath the scars and the swagger was someone just as lonely as he was. The real Eva Morrison sent a message yesterday, he said quietly. The marshals dropped the case. Said it was a misunderstanding. Eva's head snapped toward him. You paid them off. I made some arrangements. Luis shrugged. Turns out a cattle rancher in the frontier territories can use a partner who knows which end of a gun to hold. Even if she did steal someone's identity to get here. For the first time since she'd arrived, Eva smiled. Not the wolf's grin, but something genuine. You're crazier than I am, rancher. Maybe. Luis raised his glass of whiskey. But life's full of surprises. Eva clinked her glass against his. To surprises, then. And as the alien stars wheeled overhead, two lonely souls found something neither had expected. A place to belong.